Welcome to another episode of the Ironman Insider Podcast presented by Martin. I'm your host, Matt Lieto. For nearly a decade, Marten Van Riel was known as one of the world's top Olympic distance triathletes. But now he's proving he belongs among the very best in Ironman racing. In that time, he built his reputation as one of the sport's most consistent performers, and in recent years, he's turned his focus towards longer racing, bringing his trademark speed and versatility to the Ironman distance as well. After a fourth at the Ironman World Championships last year and an incredibly fast runner-up finish in Texas this year, he removed any remaining doubt at Ironman at Lake Placid recently, delivering a dominant course record performance to earn his first full-distance victory. With world-class speed, tactical intelligence, and a growing Ironman resume, Van Riel has quickly become a legitimate Kona favorite, and we've got him here today. How's it going, Martin?
Yeah, all good. Still a little bit tired from the little race we did last weekend in Lake Placid, but no, like I was super stoked with that result. So like I'm living on a high right now, and I think that's a good thing to go to go into championship season very soon.
Yeah, dude, a little bit tired. I would hope so, and I hope I can tell in your face. A lot of times you talk to athletes I talk to athletes that are top performers, and they say they're so excited about their win. You could tell that they like kind of expected it, or they wanted it, or like it didn't mean much. But I can tell you have some real joy about that performance. Because, dude, I've raced on that course, and your race was ridiculous, and you've got to kind of know that to some extent.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, yeah, I didn't really know what to expect going to Lake Placid. Like I've never been to that area of the USA actually, and I have to say that I found one of my new all-time favorite races I've ever done in my life, to be honest, and to come away with a really good result. Well, obviously that also contributes to it being a place that I really like now, but no, like I'm over the moon. Like I was obviously kind of chasing that win, and I had a little bit of bad luck in the last 2 years. Like I did Cozumel, where I had like a bad crash, and then I finished I think sixth, missed out on a slot by like a couple of minutes after still going after having spent time in the ambulance to get like cleaned up, and I still finished the race, but sixth. And then last year in South Africa, finished second behind a very strong Magnus, but I also had like a food poisoning, like many people do, unfortunately, in South Africa. Like the water and some things there are just different, so got a little food poisoning, and like obviously in Nice, that's a big one. I hope that I can win a world champs also one day. But that was just an incredible feel. So now, I'm very stoked to after having led for a lot of Texas to take the win now. So I was super happy, and I was very hungry for that win as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Does it? It feels like it makes it sweeter that you had to go through those challenges to get to that win. But does it also feel like things are even now? Like you're like, okay, this is what not that you expected to win every Ironman that you enter, but you're like, okay, now I know that what I thought I was capable of, I am capable of.
Yeah, probably in a way, yes. Like, but I think what makes Ironman so hard is that like it's a really long day, and it's really like it can depend a lot on small details. Like a little issue like your nutrition or I don't know, like your pacing plan that you don't 100% follow can really snowball into like more of a disaster of a race. So it is way more difficult to be consistent in Ironman and to have a good day every time, which in short course I felt like that was really not easy for me, but it was I was always consistent. Even in the half distance I managed to do that, but the Ironman was definitely the most difficult step. And I just feel like there's so many kind of uncontrollable things that happen throughout this long day that I'm really happy to nail it now. Like I mean, the other races were also, some of them were really good ones, but a win is a win, and that's in the end what we really chase. So
And it's in some ways it's like having I'm not saying you're lucky for not having good luck the last couple of years, but like in some ways, like for athletes that come in and just win straight away in Ironman, they don't know all those things that can go wrong because they're like, oh, it just kind of went right and it worked, right? So now like you have a little bit more awareness, and Ironman is so different. Like, how many reps of the Olympic distance or sprint distance did you have in your career? Hundreds, right? Where like now you've had what, 4 Ironman or 5 Ironman races. So it's like it takes a lot longer to get that experience of all the things that can change over that distance.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it's you are just not able to race 10 Ironmans. I wish I was able to, but um, so far no one's been able to do that. I feel like Christian Blumenfeld might be the first man that's gonna be able to do that, the way he's going. But no, yeah, that's it. You know, like there is still a quite steep learning curve, and yep, sometimes people get it immediately right. For me, it's like, I mean, it still didn't take long, but yeah, like I definitely am taking all those experiences, and I think they do make me stronger. And I feel like now I am gonna, yeah, hopefully not make those same mistakes or have that bad luck anymore in the next races as well.
Yeah, no, sweet. And I think that's what I'm hoping for you, and you can tell that you've got some consistency coming around for sure. And so let's get back to Placid. Like, I'm glad that you said what you said about Placid, because there is something special about that course. And it's not just the course, it's like the town. And I guess thinking about it, Placid, probably Lake Placid, has kind of a European feel to it to a certain extent as far as the US goes. Like there's not a lot of towns like that. That has this like quaint vibe. And certainly during race week, it's kind of all about the Ironman. And yeah, tell us a little bit about what made Placid so special to you, like the week leading up, and then obviously on race day.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a stunning town. I think that's first of all, but it's quite funny because Paul Kay, the legendary Ironman announcer, he was telling it like there's more competitors in the Ironman than people living permanently in Placid. So that kind of like shows how small Lake Placid is, but it is obviously a big holiday destination. So yeah, as you say, like it's just for this week, the whole Ironman world, mainly US, obviously, kind of strikes down in this little town, and it just gives like a really good, nice vibe. You know, like on the race day, like so many people cheering. Even like actually, it was quite funny. Like 2 or 3 days before the race, I went to a supermarket, and I think I got stopped like 5 times by people like, Martin Van Riel? I was like, yeah, okay. But you know, like because normally if you race a Frankfurt or whatever, it's like big cities. So obviously, if you're gonna go to a supermarket there, like the chance of meeting another Ironman is small. But here it's just like, you know, like it's just one big community. So that's obviously amazing. But then, yeah, as you said, like it's just a stunning place. You know, like the lake is super pretty, really nice to swim in summer. Like you have this rope that is like a meter under the water about, and
Yes.
you can just follow it without thinking. You know, it's like a really big pool. And then the bike course, you know, like it's challenging. You know, like a very fast downhill, like quite a lot of climbing. Even some parts are a bit technical, and just I feel like it has a bit of everything, you know, like it actually has almost the same climbing elevation than in Nice, which kind of
Right.
shows like how hard it is. Um, yeah, like just the whole environment is just so nice, like super green, this nice little lake. Yeah, I don't know, like I just feel that the last 2 races I've done, because Elsinore was similar, like have been like really amazing places to discover. And that's what I'm loving as well, you know, about my change since short course, that I'm
Yeah.
having a bit more control over, like
Right.
that I can also do races in places where I want to go or where I want to try, and just try, yeah, these new places. And I was really amazed by how amazing Placid is.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think I appreciate that you brought up its what it has in common with Nice as far as bike elevation. But the difference in Nice, you get off it, it's a flat out and back run, bunch of spectators everywhere. There's no time to get in your own head. Where Placid, it is, I think, certainly one of the hardest marathon courses in Ironman racing. And one of the things that I think makes it hard is that when you're out near that out and back, like there's nobody out there. Like if you're having a tough time, you are having a tough time. And it's pretty easy to just walk out into the woods and nobody knows that you're gone, sort of thing, where in Nice you can't do that. But yeah.
I actually didn't think of that. That I could have
You
just
wouldn't. You were running
disappeared
234
in the woods
pace.
there.
Yeah. Good.
No, yeah, you're right. Like the run course is super hard. I was a little bit scared of it, to be honest, beforehand, because I feel like I am quite good at running flat. Like once I'm up to pace, I'm good at keeping my pace. And anything that like kind of slows me down, like corners or whatever, is like sometimes not difficult, but like I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm a very momentum based runner.
Right.
Um, and yeah, you have that whole far stretch. I think it's called River Road,
Mm-hmm.
where like, yeah, you're like in no man's land, and the first lap that was okay because you feel really good. You've just done a downhill, because I think that's also what makes this course crazy hard, is that both on the bike and the run, you start with the downhill, which is the opposite of what you normally do. Normally you do the hard part first, the climbing first.
Right.
But here you start with the downhill, and then you have to like climb back up both on the bike and the run at the end of your segment. So that makes it so hard. But first lap I was really good in River Road, where Noah was. Second lap, yeah, it was getting a little bit lonely out there, like I was like starting to get very tired. And then it's just, yeah, kind of the true core of Ironman. It's you versus yourself in your head, because you're gonna have time to think when you're in the town, back up the hill, everyone's cheering. Yeah, then it's easy to focus and like stay in your grind, kind of. But yeah, out there, that was probably where I had some difficult moments in the second lap. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I do want to talk about how your race panned out specifically, but I also think like there's a couple of things that are sleepers with Placid, like as far as how hard it is. Running downhill straight out of transition, you're like, be like, okay, let's like see how the legs feel. You're like, no, I'm running down this hill as fast as I can. That part's super hard. And then to me, I think the most brutal part about that course is as you said, you're in that headspace the second time on River Road and you're going up that climb, but then you're like, past the finish line's like right over your shoulder. And you're like, what? I got to run out there and run back again before I get to go to the finish? Come on. It's the worst.
Yeah, indeed. Like that was like, well, I was kind of thinking like, is there no way to like just I don't know, cut this
Yeah.
cut this one short and go straight in? But yeah, then we want the full marathon. So
Totally. So from the outside and looking at results, and I got a couple things I want to talk about with kind of your pacing and your results there, but like it might have looked, I know it wasn't easy, but it looked to some extent that you were in control the whole time and it was like your race all day. Was there anything outside of what we saw from the outside? Like what were key moments for you, or the tough times for you, or what you might have learned from that race? And obviously your competitors were, you had some of the best athletes around chasing you, having Matthew Marquardt behind you. You can't struggle for any period of time. That guy's a monster. Yeah, tell us a little bit about how your race went down and maybe what we didn't see from the outside.
yeah, I think that before going there, seeing the start list, I knew that both Matthew Marquardt and Trevor Foley, I thought they were gonna be my biggest opponents. And I think in a course like that, with the hardness of the course, and with the fact that there was not many really strong swimmers with me, I knew that it was gonna be like a man versus man, like kind of situation, where it's gonna be like a full Ironman, that you're gonna have almost no like group dynamics. And I think that's where these guys really shine, like especially a Trevor. I mean, as a bad swimmer, he almost has to do that kind of racing every single race. And also Matthew, like he showed the last years as well in Placid that's really like how he likes to race. But um I did also see that, and I knew that that's why I made this plan with my coach, that I wanted to push from the start, try to break it up already in the swim, because every second I could get advantage on most of these guys would probably benefit me. So that's why I decided to like really try and open it up a bit on the swim. And yeah, I mean, I don't think I was really in, like, obviously what is being in control, like, I mean, it's not that it was definitely far from an easy day for me, but obviously when you are in front of people, you are kind of in control.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing, was that I was always a bit in control, maybe not in control physically, but I was in control of the situation, where I was in front, and like I knew that, okay, as long as Matthew is behind me on the bike, I was confident that I could take him on the run.
Right.
And yeah, that's why I would say that the race, I was in control most of the time, but physically not. And it's like midway through the run, I was feeling really, really good. But then still, that's again the Ironman, like the last couple of kilometers, I did really start getting a very tough time. That last hill, I was really starting to struggle. And I don't know, like I feel like it's just impossible to really leave an Ironman not having given everything. So yeah, and then maybe of the moments that you couldn't really see, I had one bad patch at the end of the bike where I don't really know what happened, but I just took a gel and I almost immediately threw up
Oh yeah.
all over my bike.
The glamour.
And I really felt that, like, after that, I really struggled to get back to the power I was pushing before, probably because I lost a bit of nutrition and liquid. But then I was lucky that that was quite close to transition, like maybe 10 kilometers before. And once I got in transition and start running, I felt good again. But yeah, that's what we were saying before, like there is always so many of these little things happening, and I felt like I handled that very good, like even though I just threw up, I really tried to like rehydrate or refill myself up immediately again,
Yeah.
to not lose all that energy and fluids.
And that timing on that's hard too, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, if you're talking about that distance, it was after you're kind of done with the climbing. So it would be harder, obviously, if you're pushing up the hills, then you go more to flat, faster sections, harder to keep those watts going, and that can get in your
Mhm.
head a little bit. You're like, oh man, 20 minutes ago it's pretty easy for me to push these watts, and now you feel like you're chasing, right? And it's easy to get in your head about that if you have that kind of nutritional thing going on.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And then also, like, we started running, and I mean, I wasn't looking too much at like what pace I was going, because I knew that it was like mostly downhill for the first, like, always first part of the lap. This is a 2-lap course, so like the first 10 kilometers is like mostly downhill. So I knew I shouldn't be looking too much at my watch and run a bit by feel. And then I was like at the far turnaround, which is like probably 8 or 9 kilometers in, and people were telling me like, "Yeah, Matthew is closing." And I was like, "Oh damn!" Like, and I started looking at my watch, and it was like, obviously mostly downhill, but I think I was like running 3:25 or
That's
three,
crazy.
like 3 high 20s pace. So like that's like what, the 2:24 marathon, obviously
Yeah.
with mostly downhill. But
Sure.
I was like, wow, like damn, like this guy is really, really strong. Maybe I was a bit overconfident in my run leg, that I thought, okay, if I, as long as I keep him behind on the bike,
Sure.
like it's looking good for me. So there, yeah, I think then I decided to start like pushing it a bit extra on the way back on the climb. And then, but then quite quickly, people started telling me like, okay, you're gaining time again. And that obviously really boosted my confidence. And I mean, Marquardt probably heard the same thing, but reverse, you know. So it's like even these small things like getting splits or getting this info in the right time is not easy logistically, during an Ironman to get info, but that can be like crucial sometimes because yeah, once you start hearing, okay, you're running faster, you get in control of that situation again, because that moment of like just having the nutrition issue just before the transition and then like starting that run, getting close down, that was the where I was starting to feel like, oh, this is like going a bit out of control for me.
Yeah, and it's the other part that's hard too is especially when your like nutrition is low and your calories are low and you go through that. It's like you get a little. I don't know about you. I get a little emotional, right? And it's like if
Mhm.
somebody tells you something like that, like you're like, do you actually know what you're talking about? Like, are you? Do you really know? Like, what is going on? Like, it's hard to know who to trust. And I know
Yeah,
I've definitely been emotional to people when they're just giving me splits and they're like, man, I've just given you the information, you know?
yeah, there was one. I'm pretty sure. Well, not 100% sure, but I think it was maybe Cal Glass. I'm not sure if he was actually on the course.
Yeah.
Maybe I was just having hallucinations already. That like halfway, and he's like, "You have 1 minute. You have 1 minute," and I was like, dude, I do not have just 1 minute. Like I just gained. Everyone was telling me I was gaining time on him, and
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
so I was pretty sure I wasn't. Yeah, I didn't have 1 minute, but yeah, like it's true that those things can really like impact you during your race, you know, or getting your head a bit. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, Kyle's not good at math, so you gotta pay attention to that. Performance runs on fuel. Carbohydrates power endurance in training and on race day. Fueling well isn't just about racing. It's how you train harder, recover better, and build the adaptations that lead to stronger performance when it counts. Morton's patented hydrogel technology delivers the carbohydrates you need while staying easy on the stomach, carrying fuel through the stomach to where it's absorbed, helping reduce GI issues often caused by traditional sports fuels. And it's available on course at all Global Ironman and Ironman 70.3 races. Yeah, so back to kind of how your race panned out, and like I'm, there's a lot of things I'm like shocked about data wise from your race, and the one thing you don't have data on is a swim, right? But for me, I think maybe people underestimate maybe just how good of a swimmer you are until they
Mhm.
look at like all you have to do is look at the top three finishers and be like, okay, Matthew Marquardt led out of the water in Nice a couple years ago. Ben Canute was known for years as one of the best swimmers in the sport. He's I'm sure led out at a world championship before. As you know, ITU, he was in the front pack. Yeah, so you've got Ben Canute, who's certainly been at the front of
Yeah.
these races in the past and like one of the more dominant swimmers historically. And then you look at that and be like, okay, you got almost 3 minutes on Marquardt, again, who won out or led out a world championship. Over a minute on Canute. But if you take that and don't look at the course, it's maybe not as impressive. But for what you said, and like I've experienced on that course, having the little
Mhm.
cord underneath that you can look at, and it's just straight for a long time, right? The fact
Mhm.
that you didn't have a buoy at 200 meters or 500 meters or like a technical sighting or anything like that, and you just swam two of the best athletes in the sport off your heels with help, obviously, or with someone with you. Um, how do you see that on that level too? Like just how like does that give you confidence that in a circumstance where you show up to the start line feeling good and fresh, there's really nobody that's gonna like put you in a challenging state in the swim?
Yeah, I think that's the swim right now. It's like indeed, I'm quite confident that I would never really get in trouble, but then you never know. You know, I think Sam Laidlow is known as a very good swimmer, and then he had the mishap last year in Nice where he started cramping up. So it can always happen, obviously, but yeah, like no, I think that's the now I can always go into the swim quite confident that like okay, this is like no one's gonna
Right.
drop me here, or at least it's never happened before. let's see about the future. But yeah, like I think on this course as well, like I think actually having the rope is quite a big advantage,
Okay.
because as a good swimmer, I didn't have to sight very much.
Sure.
Because normally, if you're the lead swimmer, you have to sight, and like sighting costs a bit more energy. You lose like a fraction of time every time you sight. Whereas the ones that are sitting behind you, they can just like put their head down and look at like the cloud that your feet is forming, and like
Yeah,
just
sure.
try to stay there. So I think that's why I think that's part of why I managed to gap some of these really good swimmers. Um, but yeah, like definitely compared to short course carnage around the boys, it's definitely an easier or a different kind of swimming, but I think more suited to me as well, because I'm not the fastest guy, but I am very good at like the long endurance stuff in the swim.
Yeah, well, you're pretty fast, and I do think there's also like as you know, Ironman and triathlon in general, it is a mental game too, and it's a poker match at different times. And I'll tell you, like if I'm Matthew Marquardt and I'm in the swim group and I see Jason West is with me and Von Berg is with me, I'm feeling like pretty good. Like I'm having a decent swim. Obviously, there's a couple people up, but then you get out and people are like 3 minutes. You're like, dude, seriously, 3 minutes. So like there's these little periods where you're gaining, and not that Matthew Marquardt like focused on that, but like it's always like,
Mhm.
as you know, it's always like, oh shoot, I was hoping it wasn't going to be like that. Like you're just gaining these little bits of confidence for yourself and maybe chipping away at the armor of those other athletes, right? And then especially if you're Matthew and you think you're yourself, and he should, as one of the best cyclists in the sport, and at the end of 112 you're okay, I got back a minute, like that's not enough, right? So it seems like you had the ability to kind of chip away and like again gain confidence yourself, but make it harder for those other athletes that were having really good days to feel
Mhm.
confident about it. And so I got to talk to you about your training, man. What you must, everybody knows that you train a lot,
Mhm.
and your focus. Do you spend a lot of time on aerobic fitness? Because I've got some data from this race that's driving me crazy. But yeah, like it seems like you have an aerobic engine that is giving you some strength.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say that I think for any triathlete, most of the training is like aerobic, like even if we're doing sessions, there is always still volume to it. So yeah, I would say that I'm mostly aerobic. And I also have to say that I've had periods where I've almost only trained aerobic.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, I always got really fast from it as well. So yeah, I just feel that I do react very good to like the high volume as well. Um, just have to see how far you can push that before your like sustainability of your life pretty much goes down, because it's like at one point you're training so much that it's like, yeah, i- can anyone really train like 35 hours per
Yeah.
week for every single week of a year for years on end? I think that's where yeah, for me the aerobic part also comes easy, because it's just what I enjoy doing. Like even if I wouldn't be a professional, I would for sure be part of the racing still. I would be in the age group field. I just enjoy doing this, and I think that's very important if you want to be able to do very high volume and a lot of training.
Yeah, no, and I think you said it makes you strong weirdly sometimes, even though you're just doing aerobic work. And I think that's uh obviously you come from a different background, having a bunch of speed in your legs, right? So that you're kind of, amateurs listening can't really like connect with that. Like, yeah, they can't go out and do 30 hours a week and run a 234. Like they're gonna
Mhm.
have to do some other work to do that, right? But I think some people often underestimate the power of the aerobic engine and the fact that when you're also in that aerobic space, you're you're gaining and developing a ton of consistency, and you're not risking injury as much as you would if you're focused on speed all the time, right? So there's like you're just constantly gaining uh aerobic fitness and fitness in general in
Mhm.
the sport and reps over the 3 disciplines. And the reason it stands out for me, and the reason I was calling you out on the aerobic thing, and heart rate is a very individual thing, and we can't put a lot into it. But dude, the fact, like, wait, I don't know if you're just trolling people on your Instagram, but I love that you put everything up there. But 303 watts, and I got wait, how many kilos do you weigh?
Oh, it's around 68.
Okay, so I'm gonna do some math here. Everybody's really excited about me doing math on camera. 68. So that's 4.5 watts per kilo. 4.45 watts per kilo. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. And that's often what people would hope to do for like a 20-minute test, right? Like
Mhm.
so it's crazy. And back in the day, 15 years ago in Kona, the best cyclists were riding 3.9 or 4.0, right? So the fact that you're as as you are and you're doing that is crazy at that weight. I never averaged 303 and I weigh like 85 kilos or something. So there's that. But your average heart rate was 127 at 4.5 watts per kilo. That's crazy. Until I look at the fact that you ran a 234 and your average heart rate was 129. That's like I'm 129 watching the World Cup, like that. That's what my heart rate is on the couch. That's
Yeah.
that's unbelievable. And have you always kind of had that? Like, is your resting heart rate like 12? Like, what you got going on there?
No, I don't know. Like, I mean, I would be actually interested to have like someone explain to me kind of like how or why I have such a low heart rate because I do not have like an extremely low resting heart rate. Like it is low, obviously. Like it's like it does dip under 40 sometimes,
Yeah,
but
that's
not
but
like
yeah,
not consistently. So it's like
crazy.
I mean, you definitely have guys that are like 35 or even lower in
Yeah,
their rest heart rate in the professional field. And actually, it's the same with like when I do like easy stuff, my heart rate is also not like that low. Like obviously, it's relatively low, but like my easy run pace would be in training probably around 120. But then it's like from then on, my zones just come like really, really quickly behind each other. So it
that's
is
crazy.
very hard for me to train to heart rate because yeah, those zones are so close to each other, and it can be that like if I'm having a good or a bad day, that can be the difference between running like at let's say 140 if I'm doing like a threshold training. Some days 140 heart rate for me it's like 305 pace. Sometimes it's 330 pace almost. So it's like
Right.
I don't know like what's going on with my heart, but it's like it's very dense my zones, but my max heart rate is extremely low. And I have to say that, I mean, I obviously when I was a kid, I didn't measure my heart rate or I wasn't wearing a heart rate monitor. But I do remember like when I was like 15 or 16, even then it was very, very low. Like I don't really remember having much more than 170 or 175 back then already
Right, right, right.
as almost a kid. But I do know my dad, who's also been doing aerobic sports for most of his life. I do know he has a very low one as well. So I feel like it is probably more yeah, more genetic than anything else.
Yeah, no, I get that. It actually surprises me that, as you said, you're over 40 or don't go under 40 all that frequently on your
Mhm.
resting. But yeah, and it's also one of those things. Once you build that aerobic engine and you get to that point, it's like it's banging your head against the wall. Like it's like to have a long ride where you can actually like I'm sure your long rides, your average heart rate is 115 or something, right? Because you're that aerobically fit if you're looking at it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and sometimes with riding, actually riding, it's usually lower.
Yeah.
So like I could be doing if I'm really in good shape, I could be doing like rides where I'm under 100
That is
heart rate
crazy.
average, and
That
I'm
is
not even going like that easy, you know. Uh,
I feel like you
like
need to get like a defibrillator sponsor. You know, defibrillator.
well, I hope not, but I know actually that Lionel Sanders has like a similar situation. I think he also doesn't go very high, and he said once something which actually made me think as well, like is it really worth it to go even out to train if your heart rate is like, let's say you're going for a 95 heart rate average, 2 hour ride. Is it really worth it to go out almost like, yeah, I don't
No,
know.
that's a good question. As I said, I didn't train for the last much. I was just once watching the World Cup at on the couch. So there you go. That's great.
Getting the same effects.
Yeah, totally. So okay, we need to look. For me, we need to chat a little bit about Kona, because when I look at that result, and obviously the course is different, but the new 20-meter rule, like we know that things, I'm sure that affected that race, and maybe less than other courses, but certainly did. And you could tell by the fact that I look at that race and like you rode the same as some of the athletes that we are considering uber cyclists, right? Like you rode the same basically as Foley. You outrode Worth, you outrode Funk, you outrode Canute. Marquardt barely outrode you. And I don't think anybody would like put you in the uber cyclist category, only because you're such an amazing swimmer and runner that and we're naive and we like to write the stories that we want to write. But I look at that race and it, to me, it like puts you as one of, if not the favorite in Kona for a lot of reasons. And it goes back to kind of what we were just talking about, the fact that your heart rate's low, that you're able to you're a smaller athlete compared to some, so you're able to accept the heat maybe better than some athletes can, or it's not going to be an incredible challenge for you, even though it always will be. But those numbers that you put out make me think that, like, I don't know where someone is going to shake you. And clearly everybody is, like, you guys are raising the level to an insane degree, right? Like the fact that, there were 3 guys in the top 5 that ran under 240 on that Placid course is crazy. Fred Funk, who's known as a uber cyclist, ran a 239. Like, these run times are crazy. So obviously it's all very tight, but is there a reason I shouldn't be thinking about you as a favorite or the favorite for Kona? And I know you're going to have some humility here, but like that had to give you some confidence looking at what you were able to do on a solo effort out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's, to be honest, that's why I went to Placid, to have kind of that solo effort, whereas
Okay.
the Texas was way more of a dynamic race, with a front group, like a more flat course. So that's why I wanted to go here, to see, okay, can I still have a very good run if the bike is really hard? So yeah, I was very happy with that. I definitely wouldn't say that I'm like the top favorite, but yeah, I know that people will count me with being one of the favorites now. And I think, again, you're right. Like, I'm I'm definitely not an Uber cyclist, and someone like Sam Laidlow. Like, I mean, this guy is definitely gonna lay the hammer down in Kona. But again, like, my advantage is that I am like quite strong in all three. So I hope that no one can really put me too far on the back foot at any moment on the course. And I think that's gonna have to be my strength there. Um, so yeah, I mean, I do really look forward to Kona, and I just want to see it, because I think that's also, it is my first time there, and I don't really know what to expect and what to do. And like,
Right.
yeah, that's obviously, again, like what we talked about in the beginning. It's a very particular and special race. It's a really big race as well. Like, there's gonna be a lot of eyes on this race, which make it all even more complicated. So yeah, I think I'm going there very confident with the racing I've just done now, and I've had this season. But I also go with like, yeah, a very realistic thinking of like, okay, it is my first time, like, um better to yes, to be, I don't know how to say it, but better to be like careful about everything than to be overconfident in those kind of circumstances. That's the only thing I know.
Yeah, you've seen it other ways, and I won't call the athletes out, Bem Doherty, but you've seen athletes in the past that like show up to Kona. They're like, oh yeah, whatever. I got the numbers. I'll show up 2 days out, and it'll be no big deal. And it's those athletes never have success. They just don't, because the respect for the island, but respect for these other athletes that have that experience and obviously are talented athletes to be able to get to the front of that race. And as you said, you're uh, I appreciate. Yeah, it would be you'd be naive or overconfident to say, yeah, I'm the favorite, because you got guys like Laidlow and Blumenfeld and Gustav, like you just and Stornes. Like it's ridiculous what you guys are having to race against right now. But it does seem. Am I wrong looking at your schedule? And I don't know, unless you've got 20 races in the next 2 months, but it seems like looking at your calendar, you've cleaved some racing so that you could focus on either the Ironman Pro Series or Kona specifically, because you certainly don't have as many races under your belt as you did this time last year.
Mhm. No, yeah, like I think that we did that on purpose. I didn't have the very best winter, like mentally actually, but and that's why I decided to race a little bit less this year,
Yeah.
compared to the last 2 years, because I think also like not only on a physical way, Ironman does take a lot of energy. It also takes a lot of like mental energy, and you have to like give yourself time to recharge. And I think I didn't do that enough the last 2 years,
Yeah.
where I just went from like, well, I was still doing short course 2 years ago. So like I went from like event to event to like racing the T100 and then Ironman World Champs. And it was just a bit too much on the long term. Like you could probably do one season of that, but then I think you also have to think about your longevity, in the sport. And yeah, that's why this year I decided 100% focus on the Pro Series. I think it's perfect. I still have to learn quite a lot about the Ironman. We're doing 3 Ironmans this year, 2 Ironman 70.3s. Um, and yeah, it just seemed like the perfect plan. So I only have 3 races under the belt now and only two upcoming, but I think it does give me the space to prepare every single race to be at the start line in as the best version of Martin that I have, and not having to like compromise. And actually, so far, yeah, it's turned out really well. Didn't have to search for like plan Bs, like second options to qualify somewhere or whatever. And that's obviously also a luxury that gives you like the comfort to do the work and to do all that training that we talked about before, to do all that, towards the race, and to fit in all the trainings that you want to plan before the challenges, the
Yeah.
races.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's working out well for you. I mean, you looking at the Pro Series standings, obviously you're in second place, but with Blumenfeld, who a lot would expect to be in first place, but you've got one less race scored, right? So you're kind of in the driver's seat right now with the Pro Series.
Yeah, actually, the Pro Series, it's looking quite good, but obviously the two most important races are coming up. So I think a lot can happen there, especially on the big island. I think there the time differences are gonna be big. In Nice, maybe it's going to be a quite close race. I mean, I expect to be a relatively close race as well in Kona, but there, someone like Christian could still, completely turn the tables. But
Sure.
it's looking very good. I think actually right now Casper is
That's what I was gonna
the
say.
one that is closest. I mean, I haven't been looking too much at it because I don't want to be too focused on the Pro Series. I want to be focused on like trying to go for as best result as possible in both Nice and Kona, and then obviously the Pro Series, and having a good place there or winning it
Yeah.
is like a result of that. But I did crunch some numbers this week after Lake Placid, so I think I have about 2 minutes
I
20
was gonna say,
to
yeah.
play with compared to Casper. That's obviously a very small margin, you know,
That's
with these
crazy.
2 races to go.
That's crazy.
But yeah, Christian with like New Zealand, where he was a bit sick and then like had the IRO bar issue.
Right.
I think it's like about 12 minutes. So that's obviously already a bigger margin, but then we all know what Christian is capable of. So I'm sure he's gonna have a plan made to to close that gap.
No, you guys are setting us up for something fun to watch in championship season for sure. So I just want to go back quickly, and I know it's later where you're at, so we'll get you off here in a second. But you talked a little bit about you having struggles this off season mentally, and we don't necessarily need to get into details on it. But one thing I've really appreciate about you is that you seem to be fully transparent about the fact that what happens in between the ears is can be the most defeating part of the sport and the hardest part of the sport to no pun intended, but get your head around and like get yourself up to do those 30 to 35 hours a week of training and have confidence in that. Was that a conscious decision for you to be that open and transparent? And have you noticed and do you realize how like impactful and important that has been for people that look up to you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do always like to share. I do like to share, you know, my journey
Yeah,
and parts of my life, and not only the good parts. You know, like there is just sometimes there is tougher times. Um, you always wish that there's not that many, but
for sure.
yeah, I think that for sure. Also, what happened this winter partly came from just never stopping, you know, like just like going from race to race and goal to goal, to like not maybe taking proper time to think about myself and develop myself on the mental side and stuff. And I think that yeah, like I decided to like be quite open about that, because I think it probably resonates to a lot of people as well, you know. I mean, in
Yeah.
the end, okay, we have a difficult life in certain ways, but we're like as pro athletes, we're very, very blessed in other ways. And I'm sure that a lot of age groupers are, you know, like struggling with similar things, and they don't have the luxury to like uh do a race and take time off or whatever after, you know, like they need to perfect. Yes, thank you. They need to yeah, keep going. They need to keep pushing. And I think also for them it's very important to like know that even the best athletes in their sport need to take breaks sometimes and need to think about their yeah, the other sides and just the physical aspect to become their full potential on race day as well.
Yeah, that's sweet, man. And I will say we're lucky enough in this sport to have a lot of great individuals and good humans that we get to race against and watch race. And it's no doubt that you're one of those people, and appreciate you having that mindset and that when you reach a level that you've reached, you're not only just trying to be the best athlete you can, but you realize that you're at a space where like people are looking at you and can some gain some real, not that what we're doing in this sport isn't real and not important, but some things that'll bleed over into real life and make us all better humans in the end. So appreciate that. Um, and we're gonna try to have some fun in the end because you've shown us you're an awesome dude. We'll see if how entertaining of a guy you are, and I know you are. So it's actually going to come down to how good these questions are or not, and which ones I pick. So I've got some quick questions we're going to do. Not think too hard
Okay.
about this. Just kind of first thing that comes to your head. What's the most Belgian thing about you?
Huh. Uh, maybe that I love fries, Belgian fries.
What's different about a Belgian
Well,
fry
that we are actually
than what we're used to?
Belgians are actually the real inventors of the fries.
Oh yeah,
They're actually more thicker. They're like more thick than your McDonald's fries or the fries you
Yeah,
usually
yeah.
get, and it's more a bit more potato like, but tastes very good.
And are you like you mayonnaise guy on your fries, or what's your jam there?
Well, these only the Belgian people will understand, but it's yoppie sauce. It's like it's a different sauce, but yeah, like Belgians also love their sauce. This is gonna sound really weird, but I do it as well, so that's maybe a
I love it.
Belgian part of me as well. Is we eat sauce with everything, and sauce as in like mayonnaise. Like in Belgium, it's not
Yeah.
weird to go to a restaurant, eat a steak, and ask for mayonnaise with the steak. And I would do that as
That's
well.
awesome. I love it. That's great. That's great. Exactly what I wanted from that question. Okay. Favorite session.
Um, long rides with not too much structure, so where I can just like do Ironman pacing up any time the road is either flat or uphill. So basically, zone 2 long ride.
So zone 2 watts or 300. Your average heart rate's 7.
Well, usually a little bit below that, so I try to stay under the just under the race watts, and just go for a whole day. And yeah, I just love that, like trying to make new routes, but now it's getting difficult because I feel right now if I don't ride over 6 hours, it's very hard to get any new roads in there.
Yeah, and that's saying a lot for riding in Girona too, because there's a lot of great rides out there. Okay, least favorite session.
Any swim? Um, yeah, any swim, but or gym. No, actually, I will say gym, but it's important, to for for your body to do something else than just purely aerobic training. But yeah, like gym, I really don't like it, and it's always you have to drag me to the gym.
Okay, well, you wouldn't tell. You've got some guns, so we wouldn't know
Uh,
it. That's awesome. Okay, what's your worst habit during training camp?
it was staying up too late, and not way too late, but it's gotten better now.
Awesome. Okay, who do you have the most fun training with, or who's the funniest triathlete?
Um, the funniest strategy. Well, that is in my group right now. Yeah, we have a lot of nice guys in our group. But it's been awesome to train again with Vincent Lewis, who I trained with in like another squad before as well, in Joel Filio's squad for a long time, and now since this year he's with Glenn as well. So that's been awesome. And yeah, I always love training with my fellow Belgian as well, but we're not in the same squad anymore. Well, and he moved to Australia for most of the year. So with Jelle, I always had a lot of fun as well training with him.
Awesome, awesome. If you weren't a triathlete, what would you be?
Um, mm, Probably like doing something in the economy sector, like maybe maybe in banking or something like that.
There you
Something
go.
relatively
So earning for the money.
boring. No, no, I'm not.
Nah,
Well, I would have probably been in banking or whatever if I was really in it for the money, but no, definitely nothing
yeah,
in any other
that's fair.
sport because I'm not capable to do any other sport than triathlon.
I don't know. Your cycling's pretty good. Okay, a couple more here. Perfection or progress?
Definitely progress. Yeah, perfection. I think perfection is a very bad thing to aim for. I mean, sometimes on a day, yes, I will aim for like the perfect Kona this year, but I think yeah, that was one of the main issues as well. Where what led to me
Right.
struggling this winter was that I felt like I had always been very playful with the training, with my racing, with everything about the sport, and now I was really thinking, okay, I have to do it now. I have to win big races now, and I thought I had to
Right.
change something, become more perfect, try to go to bed earlier, try to eat more clean, which are things you can strive for and progress towards, but you can't like want to be perfect, because then you're gonna hate yourself for being imperfect. That's it.
Totally. And you got to be the best version of what makes you you, not what makes other people perfect or
Yeah,
whatever we're going to call
indeed.
that. So yeah, love that answer. Confidence or humility?
Um, yeah, like I would say that I would say I like more confidence, but I think I am more on the humility side myself. But I think there's nothing like, I think that's a Belgian thing as well, you know, like I think we're very humble, but I think there's actually nothing wrong with being confident, you know, as
No.
long as it's confident, not cocky, you know?
Yeah. No, and I've never heard anybody accuse you of being cocky. So if that's worth anything. Okay. Last one. Legacy. What would you hope your legacy in the sport would be? If somebody 10 years in the future look back and what Marten Van Riel stood for, what he accomplished.
Huh. Now we're gonna have to do another podcast, because actually I have a very good story for that. Like it would mean, I will say in that way that it would mean really, really a lot for me if I could win Kona or Hawaii, because and obviously that's a very performance driven goal.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the guy that got me into the sports, Mark Hermans, Belgian guy, came seventh on debut in 2001, crashed, ended up in a wheelchair, um, came back later to win the race, and he's like kind of been my mentor for a long time coming into the sport.
No way.
So that's why, like for me, also just this year going to Hawaii, it already has like an extra meaning, you know, and like the better result I can kind of perform, like it's yeah, that would obviously mean a lot for me, and it would kind of feel as like, yeah, if I have a good result, like it would kind of feel as if I'm like kind of closing that loop, you know, with like 15, 16-year-old Martin that was just getting into triathlon. So I would say that it's very performance, obviously, because actually, if I'm very honest, I'm already just really, really happy with the life I have now, and with the life I've been having, living it as a pro triathlete, being able to be part of this like awesome, positive, sporty community. And yeah, being a professional, and sometimes having people come up to me and like seeing that you mean something for them, you know, like that you're something positive in their life, that yeah, that's just incredible, and it's more than I could ever ask for. And yeah, to be honest, I think that's for me the most important right now, I would say.
Dude, that's great. And yeah, to have Hermans as a role model is that guy's a legend for sure. And yeah, pretty. I know you feel lucky, I'm sure, to be influenced by him, and others will be are lucky to be influenced by you. So it all comes full circle, and it's okay for Kona to feel like a performance goal. It is, but it's also there's a reason it doesn't hold the place it holds for you just because it's the race.
Yeah.
There's something else there, and it's easy to
Mm-hmm.
tell that. So, dude, appreciate so much your time after a big week and lots of travel, and hope you rest up. And dude, can't wait to see you get to the line in a couple world championships here in a few months' time.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. It was a good chat, and I'm really stoked for Nice, and then especially Kona, obviously.
Awesome, sweet. Thanks so much, man. Well, that was awesome stuff from Martin. I will say I was a fan before, but I'm an even bigger fan now. That guy's obviously a ridiculous athlete, but super entertaining and good human being all around. So let's keep an eye on Martin, what he's going to do this year in the Pro Series and in the World Championships to come. And to stay across the latest in the Experience Oman Ironman Pro Series news, follow Ironman Try on Instagram and check out proseries.ironman.com for standings, athlete bios, episodes of A Fighting Chance, replays of all the races, and more. And of course, I want to thank our presenting sponsor, Morton, the official sports performance nutrition partner of the Ironman Global Series. Not only do they fuel Ironman athletes on course, they fuel us here on the Ironman Insider. And if you like this conversation, please like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. And if you're on the trainer, you can watch the podcast on the Ironman Triathlon YouTube channel. Thanks so much for joining me on the Ironman Insider Podcast presented by Morton, and be sure to keep an eye on this space for more great conversations as the season continues. I'm your host, Matt Lieto, and thanks so much for tuning in.